All right, this is my 1-year review of our Gen 2 2025 R1S dual standard, and that's the key part of this whole thing. I just got back from off-roading with my son down on the border in Dalzura, right along the border, and there's just a ton of amazing off-road trails down there for every type of vehicle out there. So a lot of them you could just trundle along in a front-wheel drive car out there and just see some cool views. But then there are some that are for some real serious off-road specific vehicles, not your daily driver. And there's everything in between there as well. Just a ton of trails to explore. I highly recommend it to anyone in the area. There's a lot of rite of passage through private property, and it's a wilderness area, a designated wilderness area. So you've got to stay on the trail, be respectful, watch out for signs. But really an amazing place that just about anyone could show up to. The entrance I always go to is Moron Valley Road. There's a gun club there, and you just kind of keep driving down the road, and as you continue down that road it becomes BLM area, and they're really just roads for Border Patrol to get around, but there's a lot of offshoots off these pretty well-maintained Border Patrol roads to some seriously significant off-road challenges for a lot of vehicles. So you could go there with just about anything. I see a lot of guys with side-by-sides, dirt bikes, and I've, funnily enough, never seen another SUV out there yet other than Border Patrol. Hang tight for that. The video, I'll kind of edit it in as I'm speaking, because this is going to be a little bit long-winded and I don't want to bore you guys to death, so I'm going to loop in some of the off-road footage while I'm reading. But if I don't go off of a script, I'm going to get real sidetracked and it's going to be really long-winded and you'll be bored to death. So, long story short, would I do it again? Yes. Spoiler alert, I would do it again. I don't regret buying it. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. I will be purchasing, this is a lease currently. There were no videos out there, and there's still very few concerning dual standards specifically. And you know, this is a vehicle to use for us. It's not a fun toy that we could, you know, just throw money at willy-nilly. So we leased, but that's also the best way to get the best deals at the moment. It has been since I leased as well. You'll get the 7,500 rebate and all of that so far still this year. That's obviously going to be going away. It certainly looks that way for 2026. So if you're going to buy one, your deals are now, before the end of the year. So all of these are my genuine opinions as an actual owner that bought the vehicle or leased it, and I intend to buy it out. It's to be used. It's not for YouTube videos, or I'm not looking for a return on investment on this thing. This is just, again, there weren't a lot of videos out there for dual standards. I've been making these videos and continue to do so, as there's almost no videos on dual standards. I think because those making videos for income purposes generally flock to the Halo products rather than the practical use purposes for a vehicle. I think Rivian also encourages various trims, such as the Tri currently. I'm sure when the Quad is out, they'll push that as well. I wanted some info before we pulled the trigger on our R1S, but there was nothing out there on dual standards. So I thought these videos might help others interested in getting their hands on dual standards as well. I will say that I think the dual standard is actually the one to go for by miles. It is amazing. Best battery charging, most durable battery, still more power than necessary as far as performance, plenty of range, and all being tens of thousands of dollars less than the other options with effectively the same interior. There's nothing really missing in a base R1S. So an R1S dual standard, you're not getting any sort of You know, you're not getting massaging seats in the top trim. You can get the glass that changes color, so it's opaque. It goes kind of a hazy white. That's supposed to prevent sun from passing through. But I've talked about that before. When the car is running and the air conditioning is on, this is not a problem. I don't get excess heat through here, even in the desert in triple-digit temperatures, which we've done several times to look at the sculptures out in Anza-Borrego and all of that. And with kids in here and everything, it didn't get too hot. It was actually almost chilly. So it had no problem keeping up. The issue is when you turn the car off and the air conditioning is not going. This is just glass, just like a glass cooktop. Heat transfers right through glass. Whether it's opaque or clear, it's going to make very little to no difference. So it heats up when it's sitting in the sun and the air conditioning is not going. I suspect that's the same between the opaque glass and this glass. So take that with a pinch of salt. Here we go, jumping right into it. The sound system. All the issues that you've heard about online are just way overblown. It's unique to each person, as each person's ears are different, and we've all been exposed to different things. Artillery, gunfire, concerts, loud exhaust noises frequently, whatever it may be. It's dependent on what your experiences are. It's also dependent on what kind of audio you're listening to and what you enjoy hearing. So there's big differences between Spotify, Apple Music. Apple Music so far, in my opinion, has been the highest quality music streaming in the Rivian. It depends on what you're listening to, what genre of music you're listening to. What, you know, someone who's listening to classical is going to appreciate different notes and sounds than someone who's into some R&B or heavy metal. You know, it all changes, and what you want to hear changes based on that. You can't scientifically break down what audio experience is going to be best for the entire population. That's going to vary enormously. It does seem to depend on what vehicle you're coming from, what audio you're used to, and what streaming service you use. Okay, just got done with the trail, pulled off Moron Valley Road, Moron, whatever you want to say. And I wanted to show the tire wear. There's still a lot on there, 630 seconds, according to my gauge. This is the part that I wanted to show though. It is 630 seconds everywhere you measure. These things have worn, and let me see if I can get that in focus. These things have worn perfectly. That's the same on every tire, that they've all worn, and people complain that they wear a lot on the outside edge or inside edge. You can see they're scuffed a little bit from off-roading, but really not much. So yeah, tire wear, really good. I think I've got about, I'd guess a year left on these, hopefully even more, we'll see. There is no, an issue I was concerned about with the dual standard was there's no extra modes that the other vehicles have. I have all-purpose, snow, and all-terrain. It would be nice to have some more focus here. Maybe they'll release that at some point. I don't want the dual performance. I just want those extra features like sand and rock. That said, I've never gotten stuck. I've been through some deep sand. I've had no problems. You can just drive it accordingly if you know what you're doing in sand. Gentle on the throttle, feather it in, keep your momentum up. You know, lower your tire pressure, turn off traction control. Rock crawling, there's more tire slip than I would really love, but again, if you can manage to keep your momentum going, which is easy in an EV like this, as opposed to an ICE vehicle being very jerky and RPM based. So I find this easy to drive and vastly more capable on or off road than I really need. Impressions of repairability as a mechanic myself. I was a diesel mechanic with generator certifications and some others in the Army, and then was also a mechanic on the civilian side as well for a short time. You don't need any weird tools or excessive work to access different things. There's way less parts in an EV than any ICE vehicle. Even the most basic ICE vehicle has hundreds, if not thousands, more parts and components than an EV. There's no transmission to go bad, very few wear items, brakes should last effectively forever. change the cabin air filter, top off the washer fluid, and keep air in the tires. That's about it. When the day comes that I am trying to do repairs on my own outside of warranty, I do think this will be easier to work on than most vehicles. Airbags in the suspension are very easy and quick to replace. The hydraulic control system does seem to have good access, and when a seal does go bad one day, it should be easy to replace. Overall, what makes a vehicle expensive to maintain is usually labor, not the parts. So having everything easy to access is key, and it appears Rivian's done a great job on that front. For instance, replacing a Subaru head gasket costs around $300 or $400 for the parts, but the whole job costs $3,000 to $4,000 rather than $300 to $400 for the part, because of the difficulty of accessing most of the parts that need to be replaced. So the easier something is to access and pull out and replace, the cheaper the repair is going to be, regardless of the cost of the parts that you need. So I suspect the labor cost should stay low on the Rivian due to how accessible and simple everything is comparatively. I enjoy the fact that the kids can go and get in the car at any point without me being there, and the air conditioning or heat will turn on automatically without me having to go and turn a key to turn the car on or use the app to precondition the cabin, since I have the car set to not auto lock at home. Ford is extremely slow to update their vehicles over the air. They can do it. We've had a couple over the same time period, but we get one every month from Rivian, sometimes more. Rivian's extremely fast to fix bugs, so you can let them know that you're having a problem, and there's a decent chance within the next 1 or 2 over-the-air updates that's going to be resolved. As far as tires, I spoke a little bit about them, but the Pirellis are not performing well off-road. I've seen some sketchy videos of them in the snow too. I don't know if they were just bald. They seem to wear a lot faster than the other tires. And I've always avoided Pirelli tires. I'm just not a huge fan of the type of tire they generally have, which is more road focused. I don't think they really do truck tires until now. I would actually recommend anyone that's buying a Rivian to avoid Pirellis if possible. Go with the all seasons. If you read the side of the tire, they're Goodyear Wrangler Territory ATs. That's actually all-terrain. So even though they're listed on the Rivian website as all seasons, they are all-terrain tires. I do have an issue with the seat belts in the middle row not retracting very well. So if my kiddos in either side in the middle get out and they flick their seatbelt off, instead of retracting, it just sort of slowly comes back, if it comes back at all, which means they whip it off, it falls in the door, and the kids slam the door, and it's done some damage because it's not retracting, it's just sitting right there in the door, and that's frustrating. The passenger side, so that side of the vehicle in the middle row, also locks for just no reason. That's on a service ticket. They'll fix that for me, I'm sure. Reliability, I think it's been fantastic. There have been issues. They're so great at responding to them, fixing what you have wrong. I don't have an issue with reliability. I think long term it's going to be even better. And if you're buying one now or later, you know, Gen 2s have been out for a while. I think they've got the production line figured out. They always say don't buy the first year of any vehicle. I couldn't. I had to. I just was dying to have this thing, and I'm so happy I got it. I'm perfectly okay with having first year vehicle teething problems because I just love this thing so much. So I've had nothing major that they haven't taken care of immediately, or you know, gotten me a service center appointment really fast. Within the same week, maybe sometimes sooner. And when it's an over-the-air thing, when I got locked out of my vehicle on Halloween, there's a video on that, but in the end, all it took was 10 minutes on the phone, and they had me back into the vehicle, everything was fine. That's just not something, you know, if we ended up getting locked out of the Ford or something, it's not going to be 10 minutes over the phone. It's going to be a tow truck and a dealership experience, which I don't want to deal with. Efficiency. Okay, so for the last 7,674 miles, I have gotten 2.04 as an average for kilowatt or miles per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty good for something this size. Generally, I see in the low 2s. I've seen as low as like 1.5 or 1.7 for when I was towing and things like that. but generally it's closer to 2.3 or so. Obviously a 7,500 mile average at 2.04. You know, I don't think that's bad for a 3-row off-road capable SUV with all this space and storage. I think it's great. I love it. I don't hypermile it. I'm not that guy. So I do drive with Zest off of the line sometimes because it's a blast to do that in an EV. I've also seen some studies that said varying the draw on your battery with various types of acceleration is actually good for your battery health too. So I'm saving the planet and helping my battery. Cost to operate. I'll give you the info that I have. So you can find this out for yourself. Take your miles driven per month. I'm at 11,678, I think. I checked this morning. So just under 12,000. So you say 1,000 miles per month. Take your monthly mileage, divided by your miles per kilowatt hour. So 1,000 divided by 2. Then multiply that by your rate of electricity cost. So my super off-peak hours are from midnight to 6. I pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour during that time, which would mean 1,000 miles a month costs me $40 if I'm paying the electricity rate that SDG&E charges. To do the same distance in my turbo 4-cylinder Highlander would have cost me about $250, depending on gas prices in the San Diego area. Driving a more comparable sized vehicle or a vehicle with more comparable capabilities, like a Tahoe, would mean that number goes way up. So again, gas and electricity are both a lot more expensive here than in many other states, but I have my Point Guard energy system, and I take excess solar and trickle it into the cars. I can get 20 to 40 kilowatt hours a day, just having a car in the carport and taking the excess solar, which is amazing. So paying a monthly payment of $215 for the whole off-grid energy independent system for my solar panels, the house batteries, you know, in theory, no more power outages. I did have the issue with the video you can see, but that's been resolved, and Point Guard has really got my back on that. So highly recommended. Best system out there, the best people out there that are running the business as well, which is a huge factor for me. So $215 for complete energy independence, regardless of global oil prices changing because Iran's closing the Strait of Hormuz or whatever the latest issue globally might be. That doesn't affect the price of what I'm paying per day or per mile or per month on my own vehicles to drive. So that's $215 a month, covers my entire house electricity bill plus my energy use in 3 EVs. That's amazing. It actually makes me just under about $100 a month. So far, I've only had one billing period, but that's what it came to so far. So the value there is amazing. So no matter what happens globally with oil prices, energy prices, or to the grid, I can fuel my own vehicles and I can power my home, regardless of whatever happens around us. Insurance is $280 a month with myself, my wife, and my 16-year-old daughter who just got her license, all just for the Rivian. We used to pay $396 a month total for myself and my wife on all 3 EVs. Now we pay $280 a month for the Rivian, $177 a month for the Mach-E, and $181 per month for the Leaf. So this is the more expensive vehicle. Before you buy, always check your insurance rates. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. Most replacement tires seem to be in the $250 to $350 range. I'm not 100% sure which tires I'll go for yet when it's ready. I'll definitely shop around, but it's going to be something that has the 3-peak mountain snow rating, since that generally allows me to skip the chain line when I go up to the mountains in the wintertime in California. Really happy with the tires that are on here, the Goodyear Wrangler ATs. The ones that are on this Rivian, be careful because there's 2 types. The ones that are on this Rivian are 3-peak snow rated. Not all Goodyear Wranglers are. I don't know if it was just these ones from the factory specifically for this or what the deal was, but they're great tires, and I think the wear on them has been fantastic. I don't know how many miles I'll get out of them, but I'm estimating at least 20,000, which would be great. Recalls, 3 total recalls the whole time that we've owned this. That's extremely low compared to any other brand for a first-year vehicle or otherwise. Even an established vehicle is likely to get more than that. 2 of those recalls were fixed with over-the-air updates before they even issued the recall letter, because it's just instant. Over-the-air update, they're all fixed. That recall doesn't really apply to anymore. So that's fantastic. One of them is for, I guess, a limited number of units had a specific light bar issue in cold temperatures, that they may not work properly. So you'll be notified. I was, and they're going to fix that when they figured out how to do so. Service experience. There are long wait times if you have non-urgent issues. If you have something that is urgent, they will get you in pretty quickly. I think that it's comparable speed to taking it into Ford. You know, I can go and drop it off same day at my local Ford dealership, but they may not get to it for a week. And they're not going to give me a loaner for that whole time. So if I want an appointment, it's going to be a week or 2 out. And if it's an urgent issue with a Rivian, that's the same case. There's always been a loaner. They're always super accommodating. If there's no loaner, they'll send you to a rental place. So you always get a car to drive a replacement vehicle, and it's like for like. So some guys I've seen don't need all 3 rows, so they ask specifically for an electric at Enterprise, and Rivian pays for that. If you get a gas vehicle, Rivian comps you your first tank of gas. I've never used a whole tank of gas because they always get my car back to me so fast. So the Enterprise here locally does also stock Rivians to try and give them to Rivian customers, so that even if they don't have a loaner Rivian at Rivian, then when you get to Enterprise, they can put you in an R1S or an R1T. I got a quad R1S last time, which was awesome. I mean, who's going to complain about that? They often do drop-off service or pickup service. So if I have a loaner vehicle, I drove it here at 6 p.m. and they're like, hey, we just got your vehicle done. Do you want us to drive it out to you? Yeah, I would love that. Saves me the trip. They drive it out to your driveway. They pick up the keys to whatever you've got and they take it away, and you don't have to do anything. The service experience that I have had all 3 times, I'm gonna have a 4th here in another month. It's outstanding. They really take care of you. When I had an issue for a second time and I was kind of frustrated, they even gave me a little swag, keep me happy. They genuinely, in my experience, have valued their customers, and that's awesome. Like I said, the issues I've experienced are mostly first-year teething problems. Never buy a first year of any vehicle. Everyone says that. I just love this thing too much, so I did. I don't regret that, and I don't mind the issues that I've had. That's not for everybody, but I think by now they'll have had that all figured out. So if you do buy an R1S now, I don't think you're going to have the same issues that I've had. I would expect you have significantly less, if any. That said, I've never had a 0 problem car ever. And in my opinion, anyone who's saying they have is lying. They're not telling you the truth, or they're in denial. I'm not calling them liars necessarily. There's always something. There's a paint defect, a loose trim panel, a bolt that works itself loose over the first few thousand miles, a wire harness that was pinched from the factory. And I've had all of those issues on brand new cars that I've had over the years, from Ford, Toyota, you name it. All of those issues. I have not bought a brand new vehicle ever that has been legitimately trouble-free. There's always something. The service experience compared to the dealership service experience is this. It's way better with Rivian. I was really scared about that. That was my biggest hang-up, is I heard so many horror stories of it took 7 months to get my Rivian drivable, and they didn't give me a loaner, and I was making payments the whole time. That's not my experience. I don't know anyone personally with an experience like that. They work hard to keep their customers happy, and I do feel appreciated as a customer. That said, also the Mustang Mach-E has had a problem since we got it, that you press the trunk release button and it will pop like that far and stop, and you've got to press the button again and then it will open all the way. It's super irritating. It's not that big of a deal, but we took it into Ford twice and they've said we can't recreate the issue, we're not going to fix it, there's nothing we can do. Like, okay, well, that's not really acceptable to me. So when I had an issue with the Rivian and there was a knocking in the front end on acceleration and braking, they said, look, everything's within tolerances, but I heard the noise, we're just going to replace everything for you. So they replace all the bearings, the half shafts, everything for free, all under warranty. So instead of just send me back with a vehicle and said, don't know really what's going on, it's all within tolerances, which is Ford's approach, then Rivian said, we're not sure what's going on, everything's within tolerances, so we just replaced it all. That's awesome. That's so cool. I felt better. I wasn't stressed anymore driving a car that was making a funky noise. I felt validated, like they believed me, and they cared. I love that. It's good to feel cared about. Improvements over the time that I've had it. The sound system, like I've mentioned, way better now than it was, and it was good before. Air suspension's been improved. Handling in general has been improved. The way the system works, it's all changed a little bit. That's really awesome. Especially in low mode, in the suspension on the freeway, it automatically goes to low unless you turn it off. I always used to turn it off because it irritated me. It was very bouncy and choppy in, rough road. Now it's way better. It's still a little bit bouncier than standard ride height. And just to save the tires, I heard so many stories. I didn't leave it in auto. So I would take it out of auto and ride in standard height because I was worried if I was in low, it would prematurely wear the tires. I don't know if it's because I didn't do that for the first 5,000 miles. I have since. I leave it in auto now and I ride in low height, whenever it wants to. Except maybe once a week I'll put it in standard and for a freeway trip just to try and even it up. I don't know if that's why there's even wear across my tires or what the situation is. Highway assist has gotten massively better. It's night and day compared to when I bought it. Blue Cruise was better when I bought this compared to highway assist. Now this is way better than Blue Cruise, way better. She's got Blue Cruise 1.3 right now. I'm sure they'll update it as time goes on, but I don't see it ever getting as good as this again. I think this will just continually get better. It stops and goes, does really well. My only complaint is that this latest highway assist only update, not a full update, just highway assist. For some reason, now I don't get hands-free nearly as much as I did before, which is a bit of a bummer. I'm sure I'll get it back over the next few updates, and it was probably safety related, I'm guessing. So I feel good that they're paying attention to it. A little bit bummed, but it's so good. If you've got it on, you double tap, the blue lines come on, you're in your lane, you see what it's doing, it tells you when it's slowing down or speeding up for a corner. And in bumper-to-bumper traffic, like if I'm driving back from the beach in rush hour with the kids, it's very good. It's about as good as I could drive on a good day. The only other negative update I had was the Halloween fiasco last year, 2024. They messed something up and released the update a little bit earlier than it should have been released. It wasn't ready. There were phone as a key issues. Watch my video on that. They did pull the update so we weren't having those issues anymore, and then re-released it when it was ready. That's fine. Mistakes happen. That's literally the only one that was bad in my mind. Climate controls and access have improved quite a bit. At first, when we got it, it wouldn't automatically turn on the air when someone was buckled in the center or the rear. I had to go in and remember to do it. Now it basically always remembers, but what I wish they would have is a lock button of some kind to just mimic my control, so I don't have to go in and change the setting. So everything's in step so that I can just change mine and it all goes. Okay, instead of coming in and changing this one, then selecting middle and changing this one, and then selecting the rear and changing this one. Just have it mimic this control once, so I don't have to do it. That said, you can keep your hands on the wheel, keep your eyes on the road, and use the A word, ALEXA, to control the temperatures and fan speeds and all of that. So you don't have to touch the screen and go through menus to change it. But I still wish there was that one like lock control like I've had in most other cars. Like, you know, you can turn on individual temperature settings and fan speeds, or you can just have it mimic the driver's controls. That's what I want, and I want it to remember that every time I get in, so that it remembers, oh, even though there's no one back there, he had all 3 rows on. That way, if I've got the dog in the trunk or whatever, or I'm just trying to stop ice cream from melting in the trunk, or what, I just want it to cool down faster, all 3 rows are on. Great. They updated the speed at which the air conditioning pump spins, because there were some vibrations and weird noises. It's still kind of loud, but it's acceptable. We got native Apple Music, which is great. The navigation system's improved a lot, several times. There's always new updates on the horizon, just a whole host of things, and they usually give you like a roadmap of these are the updates we're hoping to get this year. You don't really know exactly when they'll come, but there's an update literally every month. I guess, have one big issue with Rivian. This gets under my skin big time. I hate it. There is no form of text control. There's no voice dictation. I can't respond to messages. I can't send a message. I can't have a message read to me. It doesn't have to be CarPlay, although I've done another video on that. They could do CarPlay and keep their native like HVAC controls on the bottom, their screens and menus selections at the top, and do CarPlay in the middle. So that's not really an excuse. It's really irritating to me. It is a safety issue, Rivian. I don't know how many times I need to say it. Rivian, it is a safety issue. Give people texting. There's no reason for me to have to look, okay, to check my phone. If there's any priority on an update, please prioritize that one. I want to be able to just cruise, keep my hands on the wheel, keep my eyes on the road, and see or hear, oh, there's a message from my wife. Read it, yes or no. Yes, please. There's a message that she says, pick up XYZ on the way home. Thanks. Okay, great. I can respond. Press yes. Okay, I'm on my way to pick that up. I cannot fathom why Rivian doesn't have this. You buy a base Corolla, it's gonna have that. Okay, you buy a 2018 Nissan Leaf like we did for my daughter, it has that. Regardless of CarPlay, it has their own native ability to do that. Rivian prides itself on being technologically advanced. That's a problem. That's not technologically advanced to be unable to communicate in a safe manner. I can get my phone calls on here. Why can't I get my texts? Okay, I couldn't sit in the car too long. I had the baby monitor out there with me, and she was napping. She is not napping now. She needs some food, and she is not gonna wait, and she shouldn't have to. So I am true dad after all. Yeah, that's right. So, do I regret not getting more range or more power? No and no. This is why the dual standard is the greatest package that you can get from Rivian. It sounds stupid, like it's just personal bias, or, you know, because I bought it. There have been times where you could get the large pack and dual performance or whatever for the same price, and I would still say get the dual standard. The LFP battery is going to be more durable. It can do more charge cycles. It charges better and faster, has a better charging curve when you are charging it. And your daily driving range is better on the dual standard than even the max pack at 410 miles. That's because you're not supposed to use 20% at the bottom and 20% at the top of those packs, which gives you 60% of that 410 mile max range. So sure, if you're going on a road trip, then you can charge it to 100% and then quick hop in and go. But then once you've burned through that first 410 miles, the difference is going to be in your charging curve. The LFP battery has a better charging curve. So I just don't see generally the reason for somebody to get a bigger pack. It's more expensive, it's more weight, but it's not going to give you better daily use. So if you're towing every day, you know, if it's 100 miles or less, the LFP pack is still the best. If you're towing once a week, you know, on the weekends, your boat trip or, you know, your camper or whatever, if it's 100 miles, then the LFP pack is better. If it's more than that, I understand some people wanting something like the larger max pack, but again, then that gives you less daily range. It totally depends. I read that the average amount of miles Americans drive is 37 miles a day. So 260 miles range on all-terrain tires with 3 rows and mad storage and, you know, on and off-road capabilities is more than enough. I've never had an issue. I've never needed more or any of the rest of it. I've always been able to charge where I need to. If I'm on a road trip, that's only going to get better. Charging points are going in all over the place. In Southern California, in LA, it is a dumpster fire. Don't charge in LA unless you absolutely have to. Personally, when I go to LA, I find somewhere outside of LA to charge, or if I'm staying in LA, like if we're going to Universal or Disney or whatever, then I will charge at the hotel overnight, which is usually like a small fee, like $10 or $30, and you're 100% charged because it's an LFP when you wake up in the morning and your family's ready to go on to the next location. So I think people need to understand too that it's still an absolute rocket. You really do not need more power or performance than the dual standard gives you. You're automatically faster as soon as you hop behind the wheel of any Rivian. You're automatically faster than 90% of the vehicles on the road, if that's your jam. If it's not your jam, then the dual performance should even be more up your alley. But if it's 0 to 60 times you're concerned about, it's 4.5 seconds, which may not sound insanely fast, but again, you're still faster than 90% of the cars on the road with a 4.5 0 to 60 second time. If you really want to go faster and you really want to have the biggest, most expensive battery pack, more power to you. That's great. But genuinely, I truly believe this isn't a case of more expensive and more is better. This is a case of the quality of the item you're buying and the use case that you have for it is better. So there may be some weird use cases that I can't think of where a max pack or a large pack are better for some reason. Perhaps in cold weather maybe, but I've had mine in very cold weather in the mountains and I haven't had any issues. So this is my opinion. You know, do your own research, as anyone should always in everything they do. But genuinely, there is a scientific argument to be made, as well as an argument based on reason and practicality and real life use, that the dual standard is the best one to go for. It's fast, it's fun, it's got the same exact suspension, it has effectively the identical interior. It's an amazing unit, and for the price, I think it's cheaper generally than a comparable ICE vehicle like a Tahoe or an Expedition. And then on top of that, it's way cheaper to run. In my case, it's effectively free, or you could say it's $215 a month in fuel costs. So I don't know. I don't see the downside of this thing. I absolutely love it. I think everyone who can or is interested in a 3-row SUV, um, with storage and capability and towing and speed, all of it, and it's cutting edge. Go do a demo drive. They are so good. So thank you guys for sticking with me. For those of you who've been here from the beginning, I'm amazed it's been a year now. This has been, again, I'm only doing these videos because I wanted to see them. I'm not some hot shot, money making YouTuber. This has been sort of an informational exercise, and I hope it's been helpful to some of you. Certainly some of the comments have said as much. I appreciate that. I always like to hear, positive feedback. Negative feedback, hopefully it's constructive. I'll try and take that under my wing too. And the referral program. This shirt is thanks to the referral program. She also has the Gear Guard onesie. I love that. And she has Gear Guard, the stuffy, in her crib. My kids have all had shirts. We've got backpacks and, water bottles and stuff, towels. I didn't go crazy. Even the shade, the awning is probably the craziest thing I used referral points for. They have changed the referral program, if you're unaware. It's $500 that you get if you use somebody's referral code. And then the person receiving the referral bonuses, the referral points, it's now on a sliding scale, which I appreciate. It makes sense because I think some of the big names out there were getting an obscene amount of referral points, and could do things like buy an entire Rivian in referral points alone. So now it's a sliding scale. You can see the fine print and the details on there. I was really hoping to squeeze into the 25 referral group and maybe get out to the Rivian retreat that they're doing, the 3-day retreat. I got close. I'm at 22 referrals right now. There's 3 pending still, so 19 confirmed. Maybe they'll open up another program and 25 will get you in somewhere at some point. So I can hope. Thank you guys for the referrals. Thank you for the views. I hope you guys are all doing well, and those that are interested in Rivians, reach out with your questions. I'm still telling you, the dual standard is where it's at.